Hello. This podcast isn't for children. It's a podcast in which four friends get together and we try to amaze each other with facts about the universe or how we found out those facts about the universe enough that someone else on the podcast will say,
Holy fucking science.
I'm Hank Green. Hello, welcome. I'm so excited for our topic today, which is evolution. And we have been joined, we're going to start over here next to me with Blake D. Pastino. Hi, Blake, the
Hello, Hank.
head of editorial at Complexly working on all kinds of weird stuff.
A lot of threads in old Duder's head.
And you got, oh my God, and you've got, you got a whip in your office.
Yep, that's my work whip.
And every time you leave the office, what do you tell us?
Smell you later.
Oh my God, that's true. And then when he arrives, he says, "What's up, nerds?"
Yeah.
And it just hasn't changed in the last 7 years.
They broke.
Yeah, I suppose it ain't broke.
It's your thing now. You
I
can't
guess.
change it.
It is officially a thing.
Am I the only person who says "sup, nerds"?
Yes.
Really?
Well, not
Yes.
maybe in the world, but
Yeah.
in the
Trademark it.
yeah.
Oh,
Put it on a shirt.
That would make bank.
Actually,
Sup,
that's
nerds.
not a bad shirt.
Yeah.
Coming soon to DFTBA.com.
Yeah, it'd be a really good shirt
Yeah.
for a nerd to wear.
You
Yeah.
have? Don't you have a site on DFTBA
Yeah, you
already?
do sell some stuff on tftba.com.
I do. I actually just got a whole new slew of merchandise in Western Digs.
Western Digs is Blake's blog.
Yes, westerndigs.org. Visit today.
It's about paleontology?
Archaeology and paleontology
Both,
around the American
okay.
West. Yeah,
They're not the same thing.
using
They're not the
science
same
to
thing.
understand history. They are not the same thing. And I think I taught you that.
I
Because
think
you were
you
in a
did.
meeting, you were talking about archaeologists and dinosaurs. I'm like, hold up.
Cease and desist.
Yeah.
I think that might
you
be
a
how
letter?
everybody learns the differences by you telling them when they
Yeah,
mess
it's
it up.
just Blake. Blake is the one
That's
person
why I
that
have
is
the
sharing
whip.
that knowledge. That's what the whip is for. We're also joined by Ceri Riley,
Hi.
editor and writer at SciShow and Crash Course.
Yeah, and Crash Course. Just the movie one, though.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah. I ate lunch today. I'm
Yes.
doing great.
This is my whole mission in life is to get Ceri Riley to eat lunch
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I did it.
I think you ate more than I did today.
We've passed it on. The curse is passed
Yeah.
on.
It's not really the
Blake needs to-
amount. It's just like standing up from your desk. Did you do it at your desk?
I walked to get the lunch because Google Docs was down today.
Google
Yeah.
Docs was down today. I
Yeah.
had this problem too.
And
Google
so
Docs ate our homework.
I just
Yeah.
stared at my computer. I was like, how do I do my job? I cannot do my job anymore. It's lunchtime. And I left.
Well, maybe
So.
we should shut Google Docs down every day around lunch.
Yeah. That's what I'm like, I think I'll just play around a space jet.
What's a space jet?
It's an awesome game.
Kerbal Space Program?
It's a game.
Okay.
You're a jet and you shoot other jets.
Oh, well,
It's less
that's
exciting.
Not paying me
good
to say
that I
that.
paid
It's
you to
fun.
do that. And then we also have Alyssa Lerner here today. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi.
It's so pleasant to have you be on the podcast as much as you can while you're in town and not in New York City where all the fancy people are.
Yeah.
Am I the only person
Thanks.
who's going to drink beer?
No, I just noticed you took the last IPA, which bums me out, but I'll be
Oh, you can have it if you want.
No, that's fine. I don't want your spit.
Our sponsor is, of course, Big Sky Brewery. Brewery? Big Sky Brewery. They make lots of different beers. And apparently, I grabbed the IPA that Blake wanted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're still friends.
I like them because it has more alcohol in it than the other ones. So today we are discussing evolution. Everybody brought a fascinating fact about the universe relating to evolution in some way. And so in order to figure out who's going to go first, we're going to talk about who evolved a Pokemon most recently.
Oh, I don't do that.
Have you ever evolved a Pokemon?
No.
Well, you're going to go last,
Okay.
my friend. I evolved a Pokemon last at San Diego Comic-Con in 2016 because there were other people doing Pokemon stuff. And that is the last time I opened Pokemon Go.
My dad plays Pokemon Go, and so does my brother, and so it's a family bonding activity apparently. So the last time I evolved a Pokemon was probably when I was home last Christmas. So
Okay, after me.
after you, December 2016, probably. We went for a walk, as you do.
Put in Pokemon.
Instead of talking to each other, we
Yeah.
all are just on our
Oh, man.
phones
It's
catching
good, though.
Pokemon.
At
It's
least
good.
at least you're outside.
Yeah, made it outside, exercising.
I think the last time I evolved a Pokemon was also Pokemon Go, but I now that I think about it, I think it was September 2016 because I remember when I got back to New York, I was so excited about all the new types of Pokemon, and then I got
Right. I didn't
really
play
unexcited.
after the new types.
Well, there were new types
Beaded.
because I wasn't in Montana anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. There were New York Pokemon.
Yeah,
All those rats.
but then I
Rats were everywhere.
Rats and-
Rattatas were everywhere.
Pidgeys.
yeah. Well, I can get the real version anytime I want. So
Yay!
You want a rat? Alyssa can get you one.
walk down the street.
So September,
2016.
that's after me.
Yeah.
But
Before Ceri.
Before Ceri.
Yes. I didn't really want to go first, but I
But
can.
you're going to.
I'm doing it. Okay. I think it's mostly because I don't have a solid into my topic.
Okay.
Basically, I was trying to find something that at the intersection of what the fuck is that? And I mean, I get it with evolution.
I've never heard you swear before. Makes me feel weird.
You say
Oh.
that every time
not
one of us curses, and it's never the first time.
They
Never the first time. It's never been the first time.
You should go to her room and think about it.
Don't tell me what to do, Dad.
You're not the boss of me.
Oy, oy, oy.
This is what happens when you get the content team on.
Seriously, it's only content team and me.
Yeah.
I feel very outnumbered.
So I wanted to talk about the Hoosier cavefish.
The Hoosier cavefish. Is it from Indiana?
The person who named it was a fan of the Indiana basketball team, which is kind of a very dumb reason to
Stupid.
name
Yeah.
Yep.
a
Well,
species. I don't know.
hey, whatever you love, you just name fish after that.
The Montana Grizz fish.
Yeah.
From Montana. I
It's
can name
difficult
it
to be
whatever I
like
want.
name it like the grizzly fish.
Yeah.
People be like, oh my, and it's like, oh no, it's just a blind cavefish.
Yeah, and it is a blind cavefish. It is the first new cavefish species discovered in the U.S. in the last 40 years. And it is particularly weird. Mostly I chose it because it has its anus on its neck.
This is unusual.
Yes.
Not usually where those go. I mean, there's a pretty normal body plan that most vertebrates stick to.
Yeah.
You got the mouth on the front part and the butt on the back part, and
like
the
a-
tube through the middle.
Tube. Yeah, you're a big donut. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it makes sense.
Big weird donut.
But instead, I do want to talk about the blindness at some point. But first, the anus neck.
Yeah,
by all
seems like
means.
the hook. Yeah.
I just don't
No one's
understand
gonna be
how
like,
that,
wait, I want to hear about the blindness
how
first.
could that possibly be advantageous?
So there are a couple different hypotheses for it. Some people say it's to poop out of the water for some reason.
Oh, like it's like
Yeah, so it like sticks its
And
head
it
out
comes
of the
to
water
surface and then
and then poops.
Wouldn't
I
it?
mean, I love that. If there was a video of it, I'd buy it. Like, I feel like it can't be that hard to catch that in action. How often does a fish poop?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably a lot.
Yeah.
I had fish. I had to clean their
they-
tanks a
Oh
lot.
Yeah.
man! And then there's these weird long strings, and then the other fish are eating it, and you're like, dude, stop! That's poop.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is why Sasha doesn't have a fish tank anymore.
Part of the reason.
Oh, bless their souls.
No,
Oh no.
Animal
No,
Wonders took
yeah.
them.
Oh.
I thought we sold that tank to a person?
Last I heard, Augusto took them to Animal Wonders.
Well,
Stefan
I
is
personally
nodding.
ate at
very
least 4 of them.
recently. And Stefan is nodding, so that means it's true.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
They're alive.
Some chips on the side, some nice malt vinegar.
Let Ceri do her thing. I want to know about this butt mouth fish.
Yeah. Butt neck.
Sorry,
Mostly.
my
Yeah.
apologies.
That's my favorite new insult. Shut up, butt neck.
Yeah, better than butthead. But the other main hypothesis is to get it. It functions both as an anus, but also kind of like a cloaca. So it's just like everything comes
Yeah,
in and
sure.
out of there.
That's how most fish are, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I learned the term cloacal kiss, which I love.
I was
for
drinking
mating.
when you said that.
That's a bird thing.
Well,
It
that's
is
how.
a
Yeah,
bird
it's how,
thing, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's how birds
anybody
mate.
who doesn't have a penis, that's how
Just
you do it.
kiss the cloaca. And so they predicted that it could be a way for the fish to fertilize eggs and sperm really easily and close to their mouths so that they can raise their young inside their mouths.
Huh.
And
So like birth straight to the mouth.
Yeah.
It's an easy transition.
yeah, so it's like cloaca near neck, just like spew sperm and eggs into your partner's mouth. And then
Oh, I see.
in there they're safe. the fish are blind, so they wouldn't be able to like keep track of their eggs or fledgling young very easily. And the researchers hypothesized that because if the eggs are being stored in the mouth and near the gills in a low oxygen environment, like in groundwater in caves where the water is usually pretty stagnant, they're right by the oxygen filtration system of the adult fish. So there's more likely to be more oxygen passing over the young and the eggs. So they just have a higher chance of survival.
If they stay in there in the mouth.
Yes. And so that's why they think they have a neck anus. Those are their best guesses because it just makes everything more compact and kind of in the right place.
And it's you don't lose track of your eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand how that works. Because how do they get the eggs and the sperm into one fish's mouth?
I don't know.
I mean,
very carefully.
I guess this is holy fucking science. I think that the male jizzes into the female's mouth.
Yes.
And then the eggs get to the mouth how?
The female releases them from her
and then
neck cloaca.
So they're fertilized in
and
her
then
mouth.
Goes straight into the mouth.
Okay.
Because
oh yeah, if you like spew and then suck in.
Yeah, because
all at
otherwise,
once.
like she couldn't find her eggs if they're like behind her because she's blind.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And I like the idea that like these fish could kiss with their mouths and their cloacas at the same time, potentially, because that's very romantic.
Double contact. Yeah.
Are there other butt necks in the biological record?
Butt necks of the animal kingdom with David Attenborough.
I think this is the only butt neck. So there's another.
I love that's a thing now.
Yeah.
There's another T-shirt in there, by the way.
Butt neck.
I mean, I like it because like a butt head is like you got a butt for a head, but a butt neck is like you don't even have a head. You just got an anus where your head would be.
It seems so much worse to be a butt neck. I'd rather be a butt head. Yeah.
Well, because then you still have a head, and you just have like a butt, and then head.
And it just like I just like the picture of your large intestine just reaching all the way up through your lungs and like next to your heart and up like to your trachea and then poop right.
And there's a reason why we don't eat where we poop.
I don't want to keep going down this train of thought. But
probably a good call.
There's another species. There's another species in this genus. Of blind cavefish. They live near the Ohio River, and they're split by north and south. And so this one, I think, the one on the north, which is this butt neck species, has this phenotype, but the one south of it, the river doesn't. So
it couldn't have been that vital for their survival.
Interesting.
Man, evolution is so weird. It always seems like, look at how good this animal is at surviving, and it's like, maybe not. Maybe that was just like, it's like the Tuatara, like 150 million years of split between them and lizards, and they're still doing okay, even though they don't have teeth and they bite with their bones.
Yeah.
Like, it works. They live to be like 150 years old.
It works. And I feel like that is a really interesting thing about evolution, and that's partially why I chose this too, is because blindness in cave fishes has evolved in so many different ways. We like to think, like the classical model of evolution is that species experience like random genetic mutations, and then the most beneficial ones are passed on, and like that's a really easy way to think of it. And in this case, the buttneck fish, it has evolved to be blind, so it doesn't produce eyes, but it still has genes operating that are making proteins used in vision. So, like, it is still producing rhodopsin, or it has the mechanism in there to produce rhodopsin.
So it's almost as if a mutation came up that allowed, or like prohibited them from producing eyes, but didn't matter one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just were successful without them.
Right.
But it's not like it confers an advantage to be blind. It just doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. And I think what people think and why blindness has evolved so many times is just because it's an energy saving thing. But there are so many ways to save energy.
To go blind?
Yeah, and to go blind, and so many genes that could break to do it, that It's like once you break one of them, then
How does
everything
it
else
save
is still
energy, though?
working.
I mean, it just like it may not even save energy. It may just be that like vision is really complicated, and so when there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and so something goes wrong, but it didn't matter, and that species didn't die, or that individual didn't die, and it passed that on, and like it just never. Like vision didn't survive because it's not safe. It's not like there's an advantage of being blind. It's just that it is really easy to go blind.
Yeah, and
As I have experienced as a person who is extraordinarily nearsighted. Like it's very like I am genetically disadvantaged as a person who cannot see well, and as we continue to breed with me, that trait spreads. As we maybe not the best
the human
sentence I've
population.
said on the podcast.
That was my first snort of the podcast.
I like that I included myself too.
yeah.
As all of us, including myself, continue
Asexual
to breed.
reproduction. You're just gonna butt off little Hanks.
And just like,
they're
and
all
their
gonna
vision
have
will get worse and worse and
vision.
worse.
yeah.
So please don't mate with Hank, people. That's if there's a lesson
Seriously,
here.
well, only
Nothing good will
one
come of it.
only one person is allowed to mate with Hank, and she doesn't listen to podcasts, so none of you are allowed.
Good. But yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think
But it could also be that there's some energy saving that goes on, but like, I don't know.
the only energy saving would be you don't have to keep those cells maintained. So like if that little bit of ATP being funneled to eye cells to keep them all moisturized and working and not mutagenic and things like that, like it would save that much. And then one last little fact. In not this species of fish, but in another cave fish, the Mexican tetra, they discovered a different mechanism for evolution, basically. So that is a lot faster than what we would normally think. So normally we'd think random mutations over and then like natural selection over time. But those random mutations could pop up at any point. So a group of researchers hypothesized that there's something called cryptic variation, where all the mechanisms for a new trait are set up internally, but something is suppressing them when the organism is not stressed out. And in this case, they looked at the Mexican tetra and found a protein called heat shock protein 90, which
Good band name, by the way.
Seriously, that's another T-shirt.
like a jersey with the 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah. But so normally heat shock protein 90 it's a chaperone protein, and it helps other proteins fold properly when everything is fine. But when you get stressed out for like lack of nutrients or things like that, the protein isn't as abundant, and so more things can go wrong. And they found that normally in these fish had a high level of this protein, but when they added a suppressor to them, their eye sockets shrunk. So like their lack of eye sockets shrunk. And so they basically think that this protein is providing a protection to be like, okay, we're stable, don't evolve right now. But
Weird.
when it's taken away, then like in a stressful environment, then other
Wow.
things are activating, like other genes are able to become more active, or other proteins are able to produce more frequently.
That is so interesting.
That
So it's
changes-
like stress, the presence of stress drives the process.
Yeah, it increases mutation. It increases.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because-
That shit is
Evolution.
fucked up.
Well, I mean, it makes total sense. Like the more like, Lamarck was wrong. Let's like we're all aware, but like kind of like we're the more we like.
Well, epigenetics.
Yeah, like we find out that there are these mechanisms that allow evolution to work better,
Yeah.
or that allow us to evolve or allow allow genes to work when they otherwise wouldn't be working, or be turned off when they would otherwise be turned on. And yeah, like these like moments where we find stability, and it seems like coelacanths look the same that they did 100 million years ago, and they're still frickin' doing their coelacanth thing.
That word is so hard to spell.
It is so COE.
Came up in a script recently. I don't remember why.
LECANTH, I think.
I think that's
Yeah.
right.
And yeah, that stuff is like to me that's like the future of like really understanding evolutionary development and evolutionary biology.
I mean, in like eons at least, to talk about it in terms of pressure, evolutionary pressure, but that's sort of a very broad thing. When you think about it, the forms of pressure are usually something that's like a stress, right? Environmental stress, predation stress, something like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool.
Really cool.
Not
Based on the day that I've had,
science.
it must be evolving a lot.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'll be a different organism by the end of the day after today.
Well, I'm glad we got you a beer and a podcast.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. Holy fucking science.
Holy fucking science,
both
indeed.
Heat shock protein 90 or whatever it was.
That was it, yeah.
And also butt necks. Very like double whammy there.
And you did
Holy
it. You
shit.
found a fact about evolution that Blake doesn't know.
I did.
Like
Wow.
what I don't know will fill a warehouse.
Well, that was
That's a pretty broad target.
that was the primary source of my anxiety about this podcast. Was like how can we possibly find something that you don't know?
Yeah. The thing about Blake is he's written a lot of scripts and he's edited a lot of scripts, but it doesn't stay in there.
No, it
Yeah.
does though sometimes because
No,
sometimes
just
he'll
like,
be like, "Wait, we did an episode about that 4 years ago."
Well, I mean, that's why he can't leave. That's why we need this guy. Because otherwise we will start doing SciShows over again.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We've gotten
have we
clever
ever
You
done
just check
it?
their playlist too.
I've done it on Vlogbrothers. Like I've like written half a script and been like, this seems very familiar. I know an awful lot about this topic. What is going on? And then I'm like, Google. Oh, I see.
We did cavitation bubbles. That it was one of
Cavitation Bubbles was the second episode of SciShow.
Yes,
The person
sometimes
who
they're
wrote that
very
script
old.
was me.
but we did it again accidentally and then
Yeah.
realized after the video was made
I mean,
like
That was back
Oh.
when I was like sitting in like I turned around from my desk and I was like, hello.
Yeah.
Here's my photographs of astronauts. Would you like to learn about science with me?
come learn science with me, kids. Yeah, but we did it twice. But that was the only
cavitation
thing.
bubbles are great.
Yeah,
And we've learned new things about them since. So.
that's why
Yeah.
we didn't pull it because we were like, "There's new information."
And also
I
that
guess
old
it's
episode,
fine.
nobody's going to watch it because it's shit. It's terrible and I
Be
have a goatee.
surprised. People still watch some of the ones where you have a goatee.
The goatee
True.
era.
Those first 7 episodes where I have a goatee. Go look it back and watch. Holy fucking science listener. To my terrible goatee days. There was a charity reason. It wasn't vanity.
It was to
Oh, I
introduce
forgot about that.
our
Yeah.
audience to you.
Goatee with a purpose.
It was a goatee with a purpose. I just sent Blake today the first picture I ever took of this operation. And we're sitting at the conference table, in quote marks.
Which I think someone stole from like
I don't know. And it's got
to
like
give away pile on the curb.
4,000 Cheetos, some Oreos, donuts, and Cheese Whiz cans. Because we had done an episode on like overeating or obesity or something.
Hank emailed me that picture today. He's like, what the fuck were we shooting that day that we had like 10 bags of Cheetos and glazed donuts and Cheese Whiz?
Yeah.
I'm like, all of like 2012 is a blur to me, but I think it was like we did an episode on why we crave junk food, I think. And there was like, you had a big thing about like,
Right,
it's
we had
all
big
fat
spread.
and sugar, basically.
Because we used to have a prop budget for every episode.
Yeah.
Which we discarded because it wasn't so much the budget money as the time budget to figure out what we would prop.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that idea. But we were all just
It was
sitting
basically a Cheeto
And
budget.
Amber's face is just like, what have I gotten
Yeah,
myself into?
I'm professional and I'm surrounded by these assholes.
And Blake's just like living his best life. As was I.
Yeah. I was
right.
leaning back in my chair like, yep.
Yeah.
Nothing but Cheetos as far as the eye could see.
Before
I
you said
have lucked into the best gig ever.
props, I thought like, oh, good. One thing that stayed consistent is the snacks. Like we have snacks in this office. We had snacks
went
way
away.
back
Snacks
when.
went away
We
for
didn't
like
have
4
snacks
years.
until we moved to the new office
Yeah.
and we stopped doing the coffee.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
came to Missoula just in
Just in
time.
time
Time
for
for
snacks.
snacks to start.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never lived a snackless life in this office.
Our snack budget is not insignificant, I'll have you know.
But I assume less than the coffee budget was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun fact, we did a staff survey of like anonymous survey of like complaints and how can we improve and whatever. And the one piece of feedback that I remember is there are too many kinds of trail mix to pick from.
Fuck you all.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Like, wow.
Who wrote that? Come see me in my office.
I would have written, there is one peanut butter cup always left in
There's
the jar.
always one peanut butter cup.
That would have been my complaint
Who
if I wrote
doesn't
it.
eat? Oh, God, it makes me so angry. If there's 2 peanut butter cups, you eat both.
Yeah.
And then you clean the jar,
go all in.
dickweed.
I think
know.
I know, but I can't say on the podcast because my office overlooks the kitchen, so I see whenever anyone goes to get snacks.
So
I'm like
we should put like
unofficial snack
RFID
Interesting,
sensors
man.
on them and be like,
fucking
all right,
cool.
the last peanut butter cup, it's gonna be in your. We're gonna wave a
Just a
wand
GoPro.
over your butt
Yeah.
and be like,
Yeah.
boop 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 boop, it's you.
Put a GoPro on that
Definitely
jar
not.
and just like
Yeah, go
Watching
pro
you.
it.
Yeah.
That's probably a better solution
Security
that
cam.
involves less sort of invasive wand waving.
but it's like hashtag complexity problems. Like too
Yeah.
many kinds of trail mix.
yeah. I went to visit BuzzFeed's offices.
Can I email HR about this?
in like 2013, and I was like, shit, we are so behind the times. They have so many snacks.
Yeah.
So I got you guys some snacks. All right, Alyssa,
Yeah.
fuck my shit up with some evolution learning.
I am going to.
Hit it.
Good.
Go.
Just waiting for you all to calm down.
Okay.
I would like to walk you through a day in the life of a newborn beaded lacewing larva.
Okay, beaded lacewing.
Okay.
Okay.
The
Is this
first
the kind of thing that a trout eats?
Maybe. I don't know
Is
much
this a
about
fly?
trout. It looks like a fly. It looks like a dragonfly.
Okay,
But when it's a
smaller.
larva, it doesn't look anything like a dragonfly.
They look
Okay.
grubby and
Yeah.
Well, it lives in the water, probably.
No.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You continue.
The first thing you need to know about yourself is that you weigh about 0.07 of a milligram,
Oh.
and that you only eat one thing, a species of termite that is 35 times your size. And that's not
Okay.
a problem, actually, because here's what you do on your first day as a beaded lacewing larva. You make your way into the termite colony, and they all completely ignore you as you just like wander around in their house. And then you find a termite worker and you kind of like hesitantly inch toward it and then back away and then inch forward and away. And you do this for a while until the termite's head is lined up just right with your butt.
With my butt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
larva's
more
butt.
butt science.
the larva's
More.
butt. Yeah, but it,
Holy fucking science. Butt
Butts.
science edition.
That's every holy fucking science.
Yeah.
If I can make a butt reference, I do.
and then
Same.
as the larva, you lift your butt in the air and wave it around in the termite's face. And then you wait. And at first, the termite doesn't really do anything, doesn't seem to notice anything happened. But 1 to 3 minutes later, after this butt waving ceremony, it just becomes completely incapacitated. And then a couple of minutes after that, it's totally paralyzed. And then you eat it. Because
Varies over a long period of time, I assume. Because it's
uh,
30 times my size.
I guess.
I mean, I've never eaten anything 30 times my size.
I don't know if they
Maybe over the course of my life, I have eaten. If like an elephant was made into hamburgers, I could do that in a year.
I don't know if you could do
Probably.
it in a year.
That makes me sad. That image.
That's like elephants are like
I eat
very
cows
heavy.
all the time, man. If elephants and cows,
They would kill you and everything you care about if they had the chance.
that's
You're doing us a
right.
favor by eating them.
Let's remember that.
Cows. So
Self-defense.
elephants are like even the smallest ones are 6,000 pounds. So I don't know how many pounds of meat you can eat in a day, but I don't think
Definitely,
you're finishing
I
that
could
in a
not
year.
eat 6,000 pounds of meat in a year. That is not a thing that will happen.
Oh, yeah.
But it's free if you eat
Math.
it within a year.
That's what they said to the Jimmy John's guy before he went out and shot elephants. And he was like, "I'm gonna kill it. Yeah."
It's like those.
And then he didn't.
Steaks
and
they serve in
he had to
Texas,
pay
yeah.
his normal amount to kill elephants.
Yeah.
And he was so frustrated.
Yeah.
The guy who owns Jimmy John's shoots elephants for fun.
sad.
Just to ruin that restaurant for you.
Yep.
It was already ruined in
How?
general, right?
Oh,
Jimmy
just
John's?
by like their labor practices?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also bad. They make you sign a non-compete. You can't work for any other sandwich companies. And I'm like, are you
Like a Subway's agent in the alley, like,
Yeah.
hey, bro, you want to come to our side?
we got sandwiches. They're different. It's not like better or worse, but like
They
different.
have scouts like when the Jimmy John's like, oh, that's a good sandwich artist.
Yeah.
We should bring them into our team.
I don't know. If you got a really good sandwich artist, some of the people at our Jimmy John's are high quality. Anyway, let's move on.
Butt waving,
Yes.
paralyzation.
Yeah, so what the fuck is happening?
So you have weaponized farts.
Yes!
Good.
Oh, that lacewing isn't the only one.
You're like the human embodiment of that Thor, Jim.
I mean, I guess I'm the human embodiment of the. I was going to say that Thor was, but Thor isn't human.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Ah,
yeah.
well played.
Okay.
Sorry, we got to get through this episode. Continue.
Okay.
Eventually. Yeah, so it's they produce some kind of compound that this species of termite reacts to, because the researchers who've looked into this tested the lacewings against other species of termite,
Okay.
and nothing happened to them. Well, except for one species that was like maybe a little bit tipsy, but like
Okay.
it's only this species.
Huh.
And we do not really know of any other insects that produce aggressive compounds this way.
So what is it? Do you know? What does it fart out?
So they don't, because the most in-depth study on this was in 1981, and then no one has followed up. So like people listening,
Yes,
you
people
are an
listening.
entomologist. Please follow up
Lacewing
because we want
larva
to know.
farts need your attention.
Yeah.
Beaded lacewings.
Yeah. So there's more though, because you get more hardcore as you grow up as a lacewing larva.
Do your farts get more hardcore?
Yeah, basically. Because there's 3 stages of being a larva. And the first one was the one I just described with the butt waving. The second one does not move or eat for some reason. The third one, yeah, we don't
The
know
third
why.
stage just doesn't move
No,
or
the second
eat.
stage doesn't move or
Okay.
eat. We don't know why. And then the third stage does.
What? Why is there a second stage?
Don't know.
Oh my
Neither does anybody else,
God.
it seems.
So, in 1981.
I'm jealous of it, though.
2017 is calling. Why didn't you keep doing this research?
Yeah. I tried to look for the researchers' later work and I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
But
I
yeah.
wonder why.
Oh, maybe they got farted on.
Yeah.
They got so high that they were like, I'm done with research. I gotta go to the Himalayas.
When they reach the third stage, they don't need to do the butt waving anymore because the compounds they're producing are so powerful that they can knock out 6 termites at a time without doing any
With
butt
1, 2.
waving.
What if it was like Spider-Man, but instead it was beaded lacewing larva that bit Peter Parker, and he had one ability, which was to just knock out criminals with farts.
I would see that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beaded lacewing larva man.
Rolls right off the
Whatever
tongue.
a beaded lacewing larva can.
And as he gets mastery over his powers, like at first it's like a toot and a stun, but then he can like wipe out
But then it's going to be
entire
like
people.
20 minutes into the movie, he's not going to eat or move.
Right, yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
boring to
That
watch.
period where he can't eat and move.
So you got a script around that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you go to the lobby and have a cigarette.
Okay, sorry.
There's one more thing I have
I
to tell
can't
you
believe
about
that's
them.
possibly true.
It is. There's one more thing I have to tell you about them. This whole order of insects that lacewings are part of, the midgut and hindgut aren't connected while they're a larva, so they don't poop until after they get out of their cocoon. So that whole time they're just like accumulating stuff, and then as soon as they become the beautiful lacewing emerge, they poop everything out at once.
They're like, oh, thank God.
Yep.
Holy fucking science.
Indeed.
So is it not technically, I don't know what the technical definition of a fart is then. Is it like they have glands that spew stuff? Because if their digestive tract isn't connected.
Right. So we don't know, I don't think exactly like what where the compounds are coming from or like how they're
But it's
expelled.
gas and it's headed out from the rear end.
Yeah, it's not a liquid or anything. It is some kind
Right.
of, they call it an allamone, which I guess is like pheromone, but
Huh.
But bad.
yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
And they,
And so it's not from the digestive tract, I guess.
Right.
Is
Yeah,
Ceri's point?
I don't know.
I mean,
1981. You got to stop listening to Devo and solve this mystery for us.
I just want to be glad that Ceri said, I guess I'm not sure what the technical definition of a fart is.
Everything I thought I knew
wanna-
about farts is wrong.
I just want to be happy about that. And just have that be the...
Can we have a scientist technically define fart, please? Can we have a
In the comments, if you're watching this on YouTube.
if you're a
tell us the
scientist?
yeah. Only if you're a scientist.
I'm
are
a
you allowed to answer.
scientist. I
You
could define
are.
fart. Hank,
true.
you could also
It's-
define
it's all-
fart.
it's your
you could
job
also
now.
define fart.
Is Blake the only one who's not allowed?
Blake can define fart. You got to.
I think I invented fart. I can more than define it.
You did words.
No, definitely not.
If I get some tofu stir fry, that's the end of it for me. Goes through me like a laser beam.
Does that mean it's my turn, Alyssa?
I think it is your turn. Is yours also about butts?
No, there's not a single butt in mine.
Okay.
There's absolutely no butts. I'm so sorry, everybody. Okay, take your hands and put them on your ear. Like, you know how they have those flaps right in front of your ears?
Yes.
And
What
you
are
can
those
push them
called?
in to
I wanna know what
close
they're
your
called.
ears up.
And
I
isn't that a? There's a word.
Is there a
What?
word for
There's
that?
a word.
So first of all, I find it interesting that we have those flaps at all because they seem perfect to push into your ear and close it up so that you can be like, that's too loud.
Yeah.
But now you're doing that, open and close your jaw.
Mm-hmm.
So you can feel how where your ear hole is right where your jaw connects to your head,
Okay.
right? So situation is land vertebrates just started happening. And they're evolving from things from lungfish and weird fish that are making, being like, there's food up here on the land. We can maybe make this happen. And these fish have, all of us, we have a jawbone and we have a head bone, like a skull. But those things had 5 bones in their skulls. They had a skull bone and then they had like a bunch of different jaw bones. Not more than 5 because there's the jaw and then there's 3 on each side that are part of the jawbone. These big bones that interface with the jaw and 3 bones on each side.
Okay.
And reptiles still have this thing. They have these extra bones in their jaws. Weirdly, over the course of ears have happened independently 5-ish at least different times. So specifically eardrums. Like the system of having this membrane over an area of liquid or gas that is then connected to an area that has some way of transmitting the vibrations that happen to the membrane into the brain to be transmitted to be received as sound has happened a bunch of different times. And there are several different ways that it's happened. But we, mammals, very early mammal, figured out a way to start, we had these extra jawbones, and part of the thing that the jawbones were doing was helping to transmit that sound. Like there was this solid substrate inside of your head that was transmitting sound to a thing that could then sort of maybe start to receive that, transmit those signals to the brain and be like, sounds are happening.
Like the singing toothbrushes.
Like singing toothbrushes. They're touched, you put them on your teeth, and then it's making noise. And over time, in mammals, but in no one else, those 3 bones on each side, so 6 total bones, turned into these tiny little bones that all connect together into this weird apparatus. You guys all
I'm
got
missing
really
something.
excited.
Yeah.
I think I'm missing something.
They're called the ossicles. They're the smallest bones in the human body. There's 3 of them. The common names are the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. They have official Latin names. But they all connect together, and they take the vibrations from your like the first membrane and they move them into the inner ear. And those bones are the same bones that reptiles have, that cerapsids had, but they have been transferred from our jaw into our ear, which is why our ear is right in the middle of where our jaw meets.
So they have those
Our
bones,
skull.
but they're in their jaws.
Yeah.
And they
So
hear
reptiles
differently.
still, and
That's
like
awesome.
the snakes, like snakes that have like expanding jaws, those bones like play an important role in allowing their jaws to expand. So
That is so cool.
we have these,
And the way
like,
they fit together in us is like a little Rube Goldberg device.
yeah,
Like
yeah, it's
one
like
thing hits
they're all
another and-
connected by these little ligaments, and it's like boop, boop, boop.
Yep.
And like, I don't know why do we need all three of those bones to do this, but whatever, we did.
Yeah.
And they're really cool bones if you like look them up and you can see what they look like. They're these tiny little things. They have very, very specific shapes. It seems like
Wow.
how are there these tiny bones inside my head?
Yeah.
It all sort of like came together perfectly to allow for this. One, like obviously you have to have nerves that go straight into your head. There's also blood vessels that come out through that hole and like into your face area, like to feed your face skin and stuff. So you have that natural hole there between your skull and your jaw, but also like that's where those bones were. And as they shrunk down into that spot, that's where they all went. So that's why our ears are where they are.
Trying to imagine how your jaw would hinge if you had 3 bones there.
They were all sort of just like more or less connected by like rigidly by ligaments. From what I can tell in most of these organisms that, like early mammals, but they did find, so they were like for like decades, we knew that this was definitely what happened because we could see in the fossil record that like some of these bones were bigger in earlier mammals, and that like they had these analogs in reptiles and fish, but then they found a fossil of what's called Morganocodon from the Triassic. Have you heard of this animal? It's
No.
very like important
Obviously, Blake has.
missing link between reptiles and mammals. It's fuzzy, so it has hair, and it's suckled, but it does not have these inner ear bones.
Oh, interesting.
So it has a normal jaw. So it has like half mammal and like these inner ear bones are like weirdly, like you think of what's a mammal, like we have we have fur, we're hairy, and we lactate, and like that's what a mammal is. But also we have these 3 inner ear bones.
That's
And that is
interesting.
also a thing that every mammal has in common, and that no other animal does. And so this
Morganocodon.
Morganocodon, thank you, Blake, the person who knows things.
Yes.
From 200 million years ago, it was something that lactated and had hair, but did not have these.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what's so ridiculous to me because I've seen all the diagrams of like in snakes or something. These are the bones that used to, or at one point in other related species, used to be legs or things like that. And I never, for some reason, thought about humans that way. It's just
Yeah.
like, these are ear bones. We have those.
Yeah.
Sure.
We paid for them, we're going to keep
Of course
them.
we do.
Yeah, like, of course we do. That is a thing that I was taught, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to question it.
Yeah.
But
And it's
they had to come
really
from somewhere.
Weird and unusual. Like the thing that continuously blows my mind about evolution is how similar organisms are when you start to take them apart. Like how horses walk around on one finger. Like that freaks me out.
Yeah.
That's how they figured out how to. It's like, okay, one of my fingers got real big, and that's why horses only have one hoof because it's a freaking finger.
Yeah.
And all their other, and you can like kind of see in X-rays their other fingers that are just vestigial like floaty fingers inside their arm finger. Ugh.
Yeah. It's like if you took, like if we were all in a computer program, you could squash and
Right.
stretch anything.
Right.
And that's how you
Every-
make animals.
Every terrestrial vertebrate is like the fucking same
Yeah.
animal. We did it one time. We got on land and we were like, okay, we'll be everything now. It's like one lungfish was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go see what's up there. It looks like a bunch of plants and shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat those for a living."
Arthropods.
And bugs.
Delta
and,
formation.
Yeah, lots of bugs. There was lots of bugs before
radiate.
lungfish happened, and they were tasty. Just walking around, completely oblivious, have no
Like they own the
predators.
place.
Yeah, fuck them. That lungfish was like, I'm gonna be out there for a bit. And my next generation is gonna be out there for a bit longer. And then we just fucked the whole place up. Yeah.
Holy
so I
fucking
was,
science.
I was
That's-
Yeah.
Holy fucking science, Hank.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
Can we get back to butts, though, please?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my god, I love it. This episode, it really could have almost been butts.
3 butts in an ear.
Yeah. It's almost about the evolution of butts, but I don't remember, so I have to look it up.
You can just start saying things about butts. That's it.
Yeah.
So biology, as you know, involves a lot of chicken and egg questions.
Yeah.
And this is more of a question about which came first, the mouth or the anus.
Ooh.
So as we...
I mean, well, there was the
Same?
first thing was the mouth anus.
Yes.
Well, okay. The vast majority of animals that we know of have bilateral symmetry, which means that you cut it in half and like one half is the same as the other,
Pretty much.
except for me because my nose is crooked. But like by and large, most animals are symmetrical. And all of the animals that are symmetrical
I
benefit
never
from the
noticed that, by
adaptation
the
of...
way. Now that I'm looking at it, it is a little crooked.
Every now and then people go, what's up with your nose? So symmetrical animals benefit from being tubes. Mouth leads to anus. And for over 100 years, scientists have classified animals based on which formed first. So in some animals, like we're just a bundle of cells that are differentiating, and then an opening forms. And in some organisms, that becomes the mouth, and then the anus forms later. And in other organisms, the anus forms first, and the mouth forms later. So the ones in which the mouth forms first are called protostomes, and the ones in which the ass forms first, which includes us, are deuterostomes. And the shorthand kind of like for the past 100 years or so is that protostomes tend to be what they used to call primitive, though biologists don't really call them that anymore,
I'm not a
like
big fan of that.
less derived or whatever,
Yeah.
more basal. And then the more derived and more complex animals are deuterostomes, and like all chordates are deuterostomes.
And then when we're talking about this, we're talking about like in embryology.
Right. In the
development
embryonic
and-
phase.
Yeah.
Either your ass forms first or your mouth forms first. And then that's how biologists classify some animals.
Okay. Yeah.
So I present for your consideration the penis worm.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes. They are not true worms, but they belong to their own phylum called Priapulids,
Okay.
based on their...
Pre-app.
I earnestly recommend that everyone's listening to this should do a Google image search of penis worms. You will not be disappointed.
Okay. I'm listening to this. So I'm going to do it.
All Googling
Hank
at the
reaches
same
for his
time.
phone.
That's going in my whatever. My
And the
search
thing
history
about
is
the whole proto-deutero thing is that...
Seriously, should I have done that in incognito mode? Or?
Oh wow, that's
It looks
Yep.
like a gooey duck, but minus the shell.
there's
I
This
mean, it
part
looks
is
a
more
little like a
pronounced,
gooey
I
duck,
think.
but it's also appears to be ejaculating
Seems
itself.
more,
Oh.
yeah. This seems more pronounced.
It's a marine worm-like organism that burrows, and then the spiny thing sticks up, and that's what it uses to feed.
Got it.
So the thing about the whole proto-deutero dichotomy is that a lot of the categorization isn't based on direct research. So biologists aren't like watching these things develop embryonically to see which they are. It's based on guesswork and basically evolutionary relationships. So the more primitive or basal an organism is assumed to be a protostome. Now, penis worms have been around since the Cambrian explosion, 500 million years, right? And they've been categorized as a lowly mouth-first protostome. But in 2012, biologists studied the gene expression to actually find out in what order which cells develop in a penis worm called P. caudatus, and found that it is, in fact, a deuterostome. So it grows ass first, like you do, Hank.
Okay, weird.
So this
We're
has
bros.
thrown the whole protostome, deuterostome thing that people have been using for 100 years.
Call it a penis worm.
That's like they call it a penis worm.
Common name.
It's not a true worm, though. It's the worm thing that troubles me less than the penis part, because it's not an
It's not an
annelid.
actual worm, but it's also not a true penis.
Indeed.
Nothing is correct about its name, but
I accept both criticisms. There are at least two things wrong with that name.
someone fished it out of the ocean and was like, man,
Yeah.
Look at this penis.
look at this penis worm, guys. And then it stuck.
That's one of
That
my
was it.
faves is the elephant shrew, which is a shrew that it looks like a shrew, and they were like, "Look at this shrew! It looks kind of like an elephant. It's got like a trunk thing." But it turns out it was more related. It was like more closely related to the elephant than to the shrew.
Fake shrews.
Fake shrews. 5 stars.
So at the very least, this development that a penis worm is a deuterostome tells us that forming ass first is not a recent, more derived phenomenon that's found in more advanced creatures. And it actually goes all the way back to the Cambrian explosion. And the moral here is, thanks to the penis worm, we now know that coming into the world ass first, as we all do, is at least 500 million years old.
All right.
Interesting.
All the way back to the Cambrian.
So, do they know, or have any guesses, like why some would develop mouth first or butt first? Like,
And
why
also,
was
like,
there a divide?
did it flip back and forth a bunch, or is there a branch where it was like this penis worm is just happens to be on our branch?
What the implication is, because again, like not all of the gene expressions have been studied for like every organism, but the implication is, at least when this came out 5 years ago, that the whole dichotomy is false. That like you can't really learn from, based on the evolutionary history of an organism, you can't determine whether it's a protostome or a deuterostome. And so that whole classification might be useless.
Okay.
It's just like a way that things develop and
Yeah.
just happen to develop in two different ways.
And it throws into question, did the ass form first or the mouth first?
Right.
Oh.
Right. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to dissect that
Yeah.
one a little bit because no matter what, you either have the one purpose hole like a starfish where you eat and poop out of the same hole, or you have both.
I'm almost sure the starfish is deuterostome though. So
Wait.
it forms ass first.
And
But it
then
has the
but
has-
it is both a mouth and a butt, though.
yeah. But it has
Well, the
both and they
ass-
form separately.
they form separately and then join,
I think.
but not a
Cut
starfish.
that out.
Like
I'm wrong about that.
a starfish or a jellyfish definitely doesn't do that. A jellyfish definitely only ever evolves one hole.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. So there's that. But like as soon as you have a mouth and an anus, you have both a mouth and an anus. So there's no first.
Well, in each individual organism, which formed first.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So like which I see what we're going for.
Yeah.
It's which were protostomes first was the first organism that had a mouth and a butt, a protostome or a deuterostome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do we have any idea?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm voting for butts, but if I get to choose, I would say butts, but I don't get to choose.
Yeah, I don't know. That brings into question, like with the jellyfish, is it a butt mouth or a mouth butt? Like that is what that did the protostomes or deuterostomes come first question means to me, because it's like, is it its primary function a butt and then also happens to be a mouth, or
Well, its primary function is to be a butt mouth.
yeah.
Because you need both.
You do need both. Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's a deep question, though. I mean, I would say that the primary function is to eat, right? It needs food.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then, like, it just
And then
poops out of
it
whatever.
happens to
If
be
it's,
waste.
if it's
Yeah.
a mouth, then that's fine.
Right.
But
right.
eating is more important than pooping.
Well,
Okay, no?
Tell that to
Yes.
that
I mean, am I
guy
wrong?
with the toxic megacolon.
tell that, or
Or-
to the lacewing larva that
Yeah,
can't
or them.
poop for
It can't-
one of its instars.
Until it's a teenager. Yeah.
Man, this is such a good movie. not only can he not
Oh, that
eat or
scene.
move
Yeah.
for like a whole
And then
like,
he poops for the
20
first
minutes of
time?
the movie, but then right when he finally reaches maturity, he just like
I can't. Well, let's talk casting. Who's going to be a lacewing larva boy?
oh my god. Well, he has to like is it going to be like that movie? Was it called Boy, where they follow the young man as he grows
Oh,
up?
yeah.
It has to. You have to like it has to be filmed over like 15 years.
Like a documentary?
Yeah. As this actor grows up, you take one of the kids from Stranger Things, and you're like, "All right,
Yeah.
you're lacewing larva boy," and
I'll give you the next part of the script in like 5 years.
Yeah.
we won't tell you what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
but boy, is it gonna be good. It's good. Okay.
I would like to know if in the course of your research you discovered the answer to the question of why we have 2 kidneys but 1 heart and liver and other organs. Because
That
you
is a
asked
good-
me. Well, it's a good question because you asked it.
Yes, and I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I asked you because I don't know the answer and I want you to figure it out for me.
Yeah.
That's my job.
actually-
I'm the head of editorial. I can tell you to find things out for me.
Hey, what am I, the answer man?
Well,
I'm the question man.
It's. I mean, the reason why that question sticks out in my head is because we were seeing each other 5 minutes later.
Right.
But
I don't know the answer to that question either.
We have 2 lungs, 2 kidneys,
2 lungs,
but we have 1 heart,
1 liver,
1 liver, pancreas.
1. Wait, we have.
Everything else is like vaguely symmetrical. The intestines, you
bladder.
could argue, are symmetrical.
Well, yeah. Well, the heart isn't symmetrically placed.
But yeah, that's true. The organ itself is relatively symmetrical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain is too.
Mm-hmm.
So why is there redundancy
in
in the kidneys especially?
Yeah.
Testicles?
Testicles? Well, testicle
yeah.
redundancy makes sense.
yeah, but people who only have 1 descended are still not fertile. I don't think.
Really?
Pretty sure.
But people who have had a testicle removed are fertile.
Huh.
But that's interesting. That
I'm pretty sure, isn't it? Is it called cryptorchid or something?
Is
I've
the
never heard of
same
that.
true for ovaries?
I don't know.
can't be.
Gonads in general?
Yeah, I'm sure if you
You would
have
think
one
it would be the
ovary,
same
you
rule
can
for all
still-
gonads.
Still have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But these are all great questions. And I do want to end this episode of Holy Fucking Science by saying all of these are valid SciShow topics. This show does not have a huge audience. So if it shows up on SciShow,
You'll never know.
people will be either won't know or they will be pleased that from this mess of bullshit, a useful thing occurred. Because all that was fascinating. I am fascinated and want to know much more about beaded lacewing larvae, but about all of these things. That definitely, Alyssa, more questions than answers. Talk to the 80s for me.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't do more research
sounds
on it.
fascinating.
If my research project was on that in college instead of whatever sequencing one dumb gene, I would have researched more.
My theory is
I'd
that they
never
couldn't get
go
funding.
work for SciShow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done science communication.
Yeah.
I would have been doing research on this
Yeah.
fart
The theory is
larva.
what?
My theory is that they couldn't get funding because they had their
Right.
original study was funded by some like not pesticide, but like studying the insects in farming type thing.
Well, we have to learn to weaponize our farts before
Yeah.
the aliens do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's fund this research, people. Make it happen.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/beaded
Fart weaponizing.
lacewing fartman.
This movie writes itself, by the way.
I mean,
I could have the script
it
for you like by tomorrow morning.
It does write itself. I don't know what it writes itself into. I don't know. I think it might be a little bit difficult to get the funding secured, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Holy Fucking Science. Behind the camera and the soundboard this evening has been Stefan Chin. Thank you very much for helping out, Stefan.
Stefan.
This episode is sponsored by Big Sky Brewery. They're available in 36 different states. They have a bunch of different delicious stuff. They're based here in Missoula, Montana. Thank you to them for providing us with our beers. Today, I have been Hank Green.
I am Blake de Pastino.
I have been and will continue to be Ceri Riley.
I am Alyssa Lerner.
And this has been
Holy fucking science.